Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm Anya Chrysanthon, and today I'm very excited to welcome my good friend, David Belman, to the show. David is the president of Belman Homes. So welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Anya. It's good to connect with you again. So been
Long
friends for a few
talk,
years.
huh?
So yeah, long time no speak.
So David, as we like to kick things off, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of a backstory on who you are and tell us a little bit more about your home building company.
Sure. So I'm a second generation home builder. My father started the company back in the 80s, and it was literally in the basement of our home. So I grew up in the construction industry, spent a lot of time hearing about it, went to a lot of job sites as a kid, found myself with a broom and shovel sweeping out houses at the ripe age of 9 or 10, and just continued to work in the business. I sold homes. As soon as I became 18, I got my license, sold homes while I went to college, and then started getting more involved in the other aspects of the business once I completed college. So doing, spec homes and doing some investment type stuff, all the way to doing land development. So we're kind of a builder that can do everything, where we do land development, we do real estate, we do home building, and we like to do a lot of the stuff in our own site. So we really build the whole community. And that's kind of the main thing that we do. We typically build about 40 to 50 homes a year. So kind of a semi-custom type model as far as a builder. And we're located in Wisconsin, so kind of just west of Milwaukee.
Yeah, perfect. So David, there's definitely been a little bit of a shift in the market recently. So can you talk about what you're seeing in your local market now?
Sure. So, I'm in the Midwest, and it's a more conservative type market. So we tend to, when we kind of go into the recession a little sooner, and we tend to take a little longer to get out of it. We don't see as wide a swings though either. So like if things get really bad, our prices don't drop as much, but people do tend to be more conservative. So they don't always want to take the risk of building. So we've definitely seen a slowdown in model traffic. We've seen a slowdown in just people doing estimates and things like that. But at the same time, we have a weird situation where we have very little inventory in the market. We still have like a 2.5 to 3 month level of inventory of homes on the market. So there still isn't enough product out there. People aren't finding what they want, but we do have a large gap between like the existing homes and the brand new homes. And so that's where it's kind of interesting in that, people are looking and not finding what they want, and then they do come back to us. And as they get a little more comfortable with the current interest rates and understand how that looks, we are starting to see people now coming back and saying, yeah, we don't like it, but we're used to it now. So it went up so fast, so quickly that it kind of shocked people. But housing's still a good investment. And I've been telling the people that I'm meeting with, remember that the interest rate is not permanent. It's always changing. So you can do a construction loan, and by the time you close your house, the rate could change or go down. And as soon as it gets to a point where you're happy, you just refinance. So don't think that's for 30 years. You may do a 30-year mortgage, but it doesn't mean you're locked in for 30 years. You can change it whenever you want.
Absolutely. It's the house that you want, not necessarily the interest rate.
Yeah. And if your dream house hits the market, buy it, right? And you can always change the interest rate down the road when the rates change.
Yeah, because even historically looking, a lot of people think like, oh, it's such a high price right now. But over time, looking back like 10 years from now, you're going to be like, oh my God, those prices were ridiculous. Good. Why didn't I buy then?
Yeah. So, and the trend line for houses is the prices always go up over time. Now you may have a little down period, but it's not like the stock market where it's like this huge crash. At least in the Midwest, like I said, you could see values go down a couple percent in a bad year, but then they're going to go up higher, in the subsequent years. But the trend line is the graph is always moving up. And especially with new construction, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. So don't wait. I have somebody right now going, well, I think I might wait till next year. I think lumber will be cheaper. And I'm like, it may be a little cheaper, but everything else is going up. So whatever you save on lumber, you're going to pay more on everything else.
Absolutely. Well, David, I always see you so active all over LinkedIn, all over social media. And I've definitely noticed that you're not just active home builder, but you're also very active within your community. You seem to be participating in a lot of events.
Yep.
So can you talk to us a little bit more about why you're doing some of the things you're doing? And specifically, I know you're involved with Operation Finally Home. If you can talk to us more
Sure.
about this
Yep.
organization.
Well, why I do all these things? Maybe I have adult ADD. I don't know. That's the fun answer, or the funny answer. But no, a part of I think being a business owner is that you have the freedom to do the things that you're passionate about, the freedom to do things that you want to do. And we've had been a business owner for a long time, so we have a pretty established business. So it gives me some freedom to get involved in other things that I'm passionate about. And the other thing is that, when people work with someone, especially home building, it's a pretty personal experience. You're building their home, you're building a place that they're going to live in a long time. And so you want to work with somebody that you like and that you feel a connection to. People don't buy your company. They buy the person behind the company. They want to buy the owner of the company. Like when Apple comes out with the new iPhone, they put a picture of it on the website, but who comes out on stage? Before, it's Tim Cook now, right? But you used to have, the different people from Apple come out and they would tell personal stories about it. And you're sort of buying them. Like when you think of Tesla, the first thing you think of is Elon Musk. You're buying that person. And so, that's part of what I do, is creating a personal connection with myself and the company. Now, I do a lot of other things besides just Belman Homes. Operation Finally Home is one of those things that I'm passionate about. And that's an organization where we find a deserving wounded veteran and we surprise them by giving them a brand new mortgage-free home. And we started that back in 2015 in Wisconsin. I was the first one to do one, and it was such a great experience that we just kept it going. And we've done 6 already, and we're getting ready to do the 7th very soon. So great way to work with the community. The building trades are awesome. They donate a lot of the material. We do some fun concerts, golf outings, shoots, all sorts of different things to raise money for the cause. So that's why you see so many these other things. I'm a builder who happens to now be like a part-time event promoter, I guess. So I have that as well. Yeah. And it's fun, but it gives some variety to the day, and it's still related to the building community. And it allows me to make a bigger impact because, the fact that I can already build the home, if I can do things that within that industry, like I've done other charity work, but I can do way more with less time when I'm working within my own industry.
Absolutely. And so if people wanted to get involved with Operation Finally Home, I mean, such a great cause, especially for our veterans, that so many of them sacrifice their whole lives and they come back, whether it's with mental problems, physical disabilities, and they're kind of just like dropped off and left to fend for themselves. Oftentimes in our society, we don't really have a great system set up to take good care of them. And so a lot of them find themselves even in some unfortunate situations with homelessness. So if people wanted to learn more about Operation Finally Home and potentially donate, whether it's time, money, what's the best way to find more about that?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. A lot of them, most of them that we deal with have not only the physical, but the mental injuries to go along with it. And that, one of the biggest challenges is they, wanted to do this for their whole life and they lost that. So imagine not only losing your job, but then also having a permanent injury at the same time. That's frightening. And so that's what they're going through. And then also they've probably spent a lot of time away from their family. They might have missed the birth of a child or the really important years as with their little children. So this gives them an opportunity to get stable, get back on their feet, and then, help their family. So as far as getting involved, the easiest way is just to go on to operationfinallyhome.org. Again, operationfinallyhome.org. And if you want to donate specifically, you can actually pick and donate to a specific family. If you want to just support like my Wisconsin builds, you can also just put that you want it to go to Wisconsin, and then it'll go to like the projects that I'm doing. Or, if you are local in an area, you can look up and see if there's an active project in your state. They're in 32 states, so quite a few of them are doing projects. You can see if there's something going on, and if you have material, labor, or anything like that, you can donate, to that. And it's kind of neat. I've actually set up a few things too, where like a few companies that I do business with, I've been able to connect them, and they're now supporting in other states. So it's really neat to see that. And there's a lot of veterans out there that need help. And this is a great way to give back and support them. And there's more veterans than we can possibly help. So the more people support, the more we can do.
100%. And I know you're also involved with Young Guns movement. So
Sure.
I always see it all over social. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this was something kind of a fun project that came about, and a couple other business owners said, there's really nothing in our area for the business community, and we have to continue to develop and improve ourselves, our skills. And so the idea became, let's create sort of like a Tony Robbins event, but local. And that's kind of where Young Guns came out. And what we wanted to do is have it be a really exciting and fun event that's inspirational. And then the other thing is the people that we got together, we all do speaking and stuff like that as well, but we always had trouble maybe getting the stage, like, well, you're just a business owner. Well, we have things to say, we have knowledge to share, and we all have stories too. So we said, if they're not going to give us the stage, we're going to build the stage. So, and now we give the stage away. And so like we have other people that have compelling stories and are good speakers that maybe haven't got the opportunity. So we elevate them up as well. So we typically get like 100 to 150 people at one of these events. They're a half day. They're super empowering. They're high energy. It's kind of like a WWE event, but with keynote speakers, and it's networking. And I've made just great friends and great connections. I've spoken several times at it as well, and it's just been a huge opportunity. And it started as one event, and now it's turned into this whole movement. And we do 4 events a year, and it's just been incredible.
That's awesome. So what's the best way for people to learn more about that?
You can just go to younggunsevent.com or younggunsmovement.com. Either one will get you the same place. It'll show our events. Unfortunately, we did do live streaming for a little while. We are just moving back to fully in person. We've actually had a few people say, hey, can we do one of these in this state or this state? And we're not quite there yet. We have the model, I think, pretty well perfected now, but we're not quite ready to scale it and start taking it all over the country because we all own other businesses. But it's been just an incredible thing. And for me, like, it allows me to connect with people and tell the Operation Fly Home story and get people involved that way. And, it's just a great business development tool that we sort of created. And it's a nice sidecar to our businesses.
100%. So speaking of young people,
Yep.
David, you also happen to be the chair of the NAHB YP committee this year. So woohoo.
Well, thank you. That's where I'm starting to get the gray hair here. I think I got all these things I'm doing, but yeah. So the National Association of Home Builders is an organization that I give my time to as well. And, I've been a local president of the local builders association and state builders association as well. I did that. And I got involved nationally back in like 2011. In fact, if I hadn't gotten involved with NAHB, I probably would have never met Operation Finally Home and learned about that. So these things all kind of come together in a weird and kind of fun way. But yeah, they asked me to be on the committee. I remember when they had the discussion of creating a young professional committee, I looked around the room and I'm like, I think I'm the only young person in the room. And I was like, I know where this is going to go. And I don't know if I like this. So they had everybody raise their hand if you were under 40. And at the time I raised my hand and I looked around the room and I was the only one.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And they're like, okay, well, what if we moved it to 45? And then there's about 4 or 5 other people that raise their hand, like, okay, you guys are the committee. I'm like, oh, okay. So then what's been cool is they found more people to be on the committee. So we had 20 when we first started. And now we have like people that can't get on it, which is awesome. And now then I see the meetings and I see there's a lot more younger faces there, because the average age of the builder is like 58 or 59 years old at NAHB. So we're trying to bring in more of the younger people. So now we have a place, we have a platform, and that's what's really exciting is there's now more people than we can fit on the committee, and it's growing and it's creating the knowledge and sharing the institutional knowledge with the next generation and creating a place for them. So I'm very excited that I can help with that mission and do some other, cool things. Because that's part of like what Young Guns does too, is we try and inspire the next generation. So it's very much in alignment with what we do with Young Guns, just like the Young Professional Committee at NAHB.
Yeah, that's how we met. Actually, I think we met in DC a few years back when I was attending the YP.
Yeah, you were new there, I think, and I saw you sitting by yourself. And I usually, when I see somebody that maybe isn't connected with anybody, I always just try and make them feel welcome. And we just started talking, and we had a lot in common with the marketing passion and the podcast stuff, and yeah, we hit it off right away, and we've been doing stuff back and forth ever since.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say if you guys are 45 or younger or better.
Yeah, the younger the better. I mean, we are trying to actually integrate like the students. So NHB has a student chapter. Mm-hmm. And if you're a student, you can get a discounted membership and then get involved and learn what NAHB does. We'd love to take the students and then get them involved in the Young Professional Committee and help you develop your career and learn all the cool things that you can get out of NAHB and provide you resources to grow yourself in your career. And then hopefully someday, you can maybe take over the committee and help make a difference on a national level. So that's really where we want to get. And it doesn't stop at the Young Professional Committee. There's so many different groups and committees you can get involved with. So this is a good one to start with and meet people that are like you, and then expand further into the association and get involved with other things like government affairs or single family building or codes or whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Yeah, that's definitely a great opportunity to connect with a lot of like-minded individuals. When I go to IBS or to DC for the meetings, I always look forward to the YP meetings just because I feel like these are my people. You at home.
Yeah, we have fun. I mean, we do work, right? We do work, but we have fun, and it's a community. And the worst thing, like when you go to something new, is walking in that room and not knowing anybody. It's like kind of intimidating. We're like the most welcoming group. We're very guard down. We're very friendly. We do stuff outside of the meetings as well. So like we go to dinner together. It's like, hey, we're all out of state. I only get to see you 3 or 4 times a year in person. Hey, let's go out to eat. Let's hang out. And some of the most important things, not only from a personal level, but also just from a business development level, those happen in between the meetings, in the hallways or at the dinner table. Or just at the bar having a drink. Some of the conversations we have and the things we learn and share are amazing. And that's really the power of it. And it's just a great stepping stone into the full association.
100%. And actually, we do have a leadership event coming up. So Kansas City meetings are going to be at the end of this month, which is October
25th to the 27th.
There you go. Yep. So if you guys can make it, even if you're not on a committee right now, it's a great place to just come, sit, listen. That's how I got started, really. I got started because of my podcast, and I didn't know anybody. I would just come in and sit in the meetings and listen to what's going on and try to take it all in. And then you can kind of figure out like, okay, this sounds like a place where I can maybe help, contribute, and go from there. So, and then we also do have the YP party at IBS, which is a huge event. So be sure that if you are attending IBS, that you get that ticket, because I know they sell out early. And actually this week, we're also celebrating the YP week. So David, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the events that are taking place during this week?
Yeah. And like I said, whenever there's a national meeting, you're always welcome to stop in on the Young Professional Committee. You don't have to have a seat on the committee to attend the meeting. So you can just kind of sit in. We actually bring people that aren't on the committee. If you want to talk to, and you have something you want to bring up regarding one of our topics, we'd love to hear from you. So it's very low barrier. Just come in, check it out. And if you have something to share, we'd love to hear from you. But yeah, as far as YP week, we're excited about that. This is something we've been doing for the last few years. So October in general is Careers in Construction Month for NAHB. So we're really just highlighting all the cool things that people in the construction industry do and all the opportunity that's available. And so we spend the whole month on that. And then this week is YP week, where basically we focus on specific things in the YP community, providing information, providing resources to young professionals to help you grow in your career. So how we do this, a couple things. We have a Facebook page. So if you just look up NAHB Young Professionals, there's a group, you can join that group. It's very specific to the construction industry. And next week we have all sorts of cool things going on. Each day is kind of like a theme day. And I know I'm running one of the meetings. So we've got a couple like webinars and things that you can take advantage of to help you. So we have how to weather a recession, which is obviously something that we see coming. We can argue about whether we are in one or not, right? But the construction industry really is in a recession right now. So this will be very helpful for you if you're a business owner. And then how do you encourage young professionals in your area to get involved and then stay? That's a big challenge because a lot of young professionals, they don't always feel like they connect with everybody. And if you don't have that place for them, like we do at the national level, a lot of them will come, check it out, get disinterested, and leave. So we're going to talk about how to encourage and grow your young professional base. And then one of the other issues that I wasn't really sure was a big issue until recently, but mental health. So we have a whole topic on that. We've got a builder that's been dealing with some of that with some of his trades. And, unfortunately, construction industry is still kind of a male dominated industry. We're trying to change that, but a lot of guys are terrible about, talking about feelings. They're terrible about sharing the challenges that they have, and they don't know where to go for help. They don't want to be a burden. And so this really talks a lot about how do you get, that off your chest? How do you find someone to help you understand what you're going through? Because there is a fairly high rate in construction. It's about triple other industries of suicides and drug overdoses and things like that in the construction industry. So we're going to tackle that issue as well and provide some resources there as well. So a lot of neat things that are different topics, but just geared towards, content that young professionals would be interested in. And these are all things that people have brought up to us and said, hey, we want to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you leading us this year is I feel like we've had a lot more open forum and time to chat and really voice our opinion as to what is important to us. And so I think all of those topics kind of came out of that discussion. So that's great to see. So David, you mentioned that you were also president for your local HBA. So the way I got involved with NAHB is actually, I didn't know anything about the local level. So a friend of mine told me about some meeting happening in DC, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go see what that's all about.
Just jumped right to the top.
I'm just going to show up, you know me, I'm in for a party. I'm going to show up and see what it's all about. So, but then I found out that there's actually this whole local level of National Association of Home Builders where you can get involved. So can you talk a little bit about kind of like how that is all structured, how the local rolls up to the state to the national, because I honestly still very confused about the whole thing.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you kind of you took the non-traditional path, which is okay. Yes. But the more traditional path that people have of their journey through the Builders Association is typically they start at the local level. So you would join a local chapter, and there's thousands of them all over the country. It's usually done by kind of metro regions in your state. And you join that. But when you join that, you also become a member at the state level and you become a member at the national level. And you get all the perks and all the benefits at all three levels. But with anything you join, whether it's a chamber or an association like this, you get what you put into it rather. So like if you just sign up and you pay and you never do anything, you're never really going to get a lot of the really good benefits out of it. You might get some discounts or whatever. But the real benefit is the network of people, the connections that you get. So at the local level, you get in the directory, you get, the names of any of the trades that have joined. So if you're looking for trades as a builder, you can connect with them. If you're looking for forms and documents, there's all those benefits. They're also advocating on your behalf locally. So if you have a problem with the building inspector, you got a problem with, a code issue, you can use the staff locally to help you. And on the state level, the state kind of is a broader picture. So that gets more into the regulatory environment. Like if you have an issue with state law or there's, a bill being passed, the state association is going to advocate on behalf of the building industry, and their job is to help, keep the cost of homes down, and make sure that bills that are not pro housing, that those don't get passed, and that the bills that do get passed hopefully put housing first. And then the national level is the same thing, but to a larger scale throughout the country. So now we're dealing with federal issues like wetlands or flood insurance, or we're dealing with lumber prices, supply chain issues, any of the national issues that you see. So you can participate at any level, but typically you start with the state level or the local level. You get comfortable and involved there, and then you go to the state level and hopefully volunteer and serve at some point. And then, you also get involved at the national level and hopefully go there as well. And so that's kind of been more of my pathway, as I've, started at the local and served, got involved at the state, did leadership there as well. And then I've been involved in the national.
Yeah. And so you guys, especially like if you followed me on social media, you know that this past spring when I was in DC, so that was the legislative conference for NAHB. So this is where we literally, beyond just raising money through a Build Back, this is where you see your dollars at work. So essentially, like hundreds, if not thousands of home builders from across the country show up in DC every spring, and we literally march.
Storm the Capitol, man.
Yeah, and we start
in a good way, in a friendly way.
Friendly way.
Yep.
But yeah, we go and visit our legislative body, basically anybody from your state representatives to federal representatives. So it's really cool to see how NAHB is really influencing our politics and how they're working to help home builders. And I know this past spring, one of the biggest issues that we talked about was the housing affordability and what needs to be done in order to solve that crisis. So that was my first legislative conference, because when I came in the past, I came to the leadership meetings, but never attended the legislative conference portion, which was really eye-opening, because every year you write that check to Build Back, but you don't really necessarily know where
it's just money going out the door, and you don't know what it does.
Somewhere. It's like, where's it going? So it was really cool to see where it's going, and it was really awesome to see the relationships that these local leaders, the state leaders have with the federal representation. So it was really interesting that they've known each other through the years, they've developed those relationships, and now they can just kind of, show up in their office essentially and get into their ear and talk about what is important to home builders and what they need to be doing and what are some of the issues that concern us, so that when things come up, they're like, oh yeah, I remember, Joe from Pennsylvania or whatever, and they actually take that into consideration, hopefully. So it was really
one of the most powerful things that we can do, and what the National Association does, and very few people actually participate in it, which, after I did it the first time, which I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 5-6 years ago was the first time that I did it. And it was amazing, because you're literally walking in the Capitol where these bills are being created, and you're sitting right in the representative's office. So you're building a relationship with somebody that represents you. It's your opportunity to share your story, your personal experience, and how maybe some of the legislation that they're talking about, how it really specifically affects your industry. And a lot of times, if you tell them a compelling story about how this hurts your business or helps your business, they will be in a room with all the other legislators, or they might even be on camera, and they might share, hey, I talked to this builder from, Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or whatever, and this is how this is going to hurt their business. This is why we can't pass this. This is why we should pass this. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that one little thing is the catalyst for the entire change. So it's really important that we show our voice. And, obviously, if you're in this industry, it's good to give to the political fund, because we only support candidates that support housing. But then it's even more important to show up and be there and be engaged, be involved, and have that conversation with your elected official. And if you can do that, you can make a huge difference. And, you can sometimes just meeting the staff person, you get their card, and all of a sudden you run into an issue. 6 months later, you pull out that card and you send them an email. if you went in their office and talked to them, they are going to give you a response and they're going to listen to you and they're going to try and do something for you. And that's incredibly valuable. And I think a lot of people don't realize the power of that.
100%. Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. So I encourage everyone, if you thinking about attending like IVS or you're thinking of attending leadership meetings, definitely try to make it to DC in the spring, because that was one of the coolest things that I've ever done. And I definitely look forward to it next year again.
Yeah, once you do it once, then you're like, okay, I do this every year. And you're right. Like the spring meeting is always sort of also the lobbying meeting. So it's kind of cool to go to the Capitol and meet people. And then IBS is usually at the beginning of the year, January, February-ish. And that's got the whole, for those of you that are involved with NAHB at all, that's the International Builder Show. There's like 1 million square feet of products and displays. So, I've been to IBS for, 15 years, but I wasn't involved with NAHB and the board level until, 7 years ago or whatever. So it's one of those things where, the trade show alone is worth the attendance, but then there's a lot of other things going on, from education to the meetings and learning about all the different things that are affecting your industry, and then just all the opportunities, the connections, and then there's fun parties in the evening. So you can literally be going from 7 a.m. to the morning till midnight and just have a busy, really fulfilling day if you go to those things.
100%. And actually, YPs will also have our booth at NAHB on the floor. So usually we're set up kind of like when the main entrance, you come in, you'll see our booth there. So if you want to learn more about what NAHB YPs are up to, or if you want to get involved, definitely be sure to stop by if you're going to be attending IBS.
Yeah, we usually have a couple people from our committee there all throughout the day. So you can meet a few of us and just connect and see what kind of people we are, see if it's a group that you want to be with. But you can also just learn what's going on at NHB, and we can help connect you if you want to attend some of these fun things that we're doing and join us. We're, like I said, we'll grab your information and you can follow us along. It's like we're kind of the cool kids party. So a lot of people want to be with us.
Definitely. You definitely want to hang out with us. Trust me. So, now, David, you're, again, you're so out there, you're doing so many different things. And one of the unconventional things that you've been involved with also is podcasting. So obviously you're a host of a very popular podcast, Home Building Hero, and you guys have just had a privilege of being a guest on David's show. So thank you so much for including me. So can you talk to us a little bit about your podcast? Why did you start it? What is the podcast all about? And how is it helping you grow your business?
Sure. So thank you. Yeah, the Home Building Hero, I started it almost 4 years ago now. The original idea behind it was I was already creating a lot of like blogs and written content. And I was talking actually to this marketing guy that I was working with, and I just kind of joked he's kind of an evil genius. Like he just does things different. And he was like, you should do a podcast. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And he's like, well, you just basically, it's like a audio recording. And so we talked some strategy, we came up with a plan. And he's like, nobody's doing a podcast in construction like that. It's not even really a thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try it. So I committed, and I actually started doing 3 episodes a week. And what I first did is I took a lot of my written content and I just verbalized it. So a lot of it was initially to start off with people and help them understand home building, because most consumers never build a home, or maybe they build one home in their life. So they really don't understand the process. So initially, a lot of my episodes are focused on, how to choose a builder, the questions you ask, how to buy a lot of how-to stuff. And then as it grew, and it grew very quickly, it morphed into other things as well. So because I go to the builder show, I use it as a sort of I'm a field reporter, talking about the trends in the industry. So I have a lot of content about the show and the different things from a builder perspective that I see there that I think are going to happen in the industry. Then I also do a lot of economic stuff in there. And so it's really a comprehensive tool for anybody, whether you're a consumer or you're in the industry. And I have both that listen regularly, and I just share information with my expertise. So, like I said, whether you're a consumer and you just want to learn more, or you're in the industry and you want to hear the trends, or you want to hear the economic stuff and you don't have time to go to the meetings, it's all there in that podcast. And you can listen to every single one, or you can listen to the ones that you're interested in. And that's what's so great about it is, You don't have to tune into every single one. Some of them are 10 minutes, some of them are 30 minutes. I also interview cool people like Anya on occasion too. So it's just got all sorts of stuff, and it's been growing very steadily. I guess I found out I was in the top 15 or something of best construction podcasts all time. I was like,
That's
holy
amazing.
cow. I
Congratulations.
didn't ask for that. They put my name in there. So I thought that was really cool. And I'm glad to be able to give back in the industry and share some of my knowledge.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned the evil genius marketing person, because oftentimes my kids hear me do this evil laugh, and I say your mother is an evil genius when I come up with some great marketing idea. So I don't know what it is about us marketing people, but we like to call ourselves evil geniuses. But yep. So to address the evil genius in the room, did it pay off? When he came to you and he said, hey, you should do this, was it worth it? Can you talk a little bit about has it helped your business? Because obviously not everyone's going to start a podcast, because it is time.
It's a commitment. Yeah. It worked differently than I anticipated, but in a wonderful way, I guess is the best way to describe it. And so what I mean by that is that, I think the original impetus for doing the podcast was, well, maybe this can be a lead funnel for me and get people to want to build homes. And well, that did help people, learn about home building, and a lot of people still tune in for that. I'm not a national builder, I'm a regional builder. What I found was I was getting emails from people. Like, I have an email from someone in Minnesota. I have an email from somebody in Oregon, and they're like, I listened to this and I learned a lot, and now I felt confident enough to go in and work with the builder and build a home. Well, I didn't help them. That wasn't a job for me. It didn't make me any money or anything like that, but I helped somebody. And so that was just cool in and of itself to hear, and connect with these people. But what it did help for me was it helped establish authority as a leader in the industry. And it also led to other opportunities. I've actually been hired to consult a couple of times. I got paid to fly out of state and consult with builders. I do keynote speaking. So it actually augments some other things that I do. It also, though, the other advantage for me is that it puts me on my A game. And what I mean by that is I feel like I have to deliver content to my audience. So that means I have to constantly be in learning mode. So I'm always learning new things. I'm learning economic information. I'm learning trends. I'm talking to people. And now I have access to some amazing people. Like, I interviewed Paolo Tirmani. He's the CEO of Boxable. He's going to be the Tesla of home building in the future. And because of the depth and the length and the width of my podcast, I reached out to him and he responded immediately and said, yeah, I want to be on this. And now I have access to him. I'm going to meet him in Vegas later this year and tour his facility. And so not only did I share his story, but I learned some of the cool things he's doing and made a connection, hopefully a lifelong connection. So that's the power of it, and all the different things that you can do with the podcast. And the last thing, I don't want to go too deep into podcasts, but the other thing that's really cool about the podcast is that a lot of people are getting away from traditional media. Mm-hmm. And so, like, people don't trust newspapers as much. People don't trust even the news stations. They're going to podcasts because these are the people on the street dealing with this day in and day out. And you can get a lot of very real, raw information, and you can get as much or as little as you want. And that's why podcasting is growing, and it's not going anywhere. It's just getting more and more powerful.
100% agree with you. These are all the same reasons why I started both my podcasts. And the best decision I've ever made. So David, as we wrap up the show, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think people should know about? This was a question I stole from you.
Oh, sure. No, my biggest thing is to take away, if you're listening to this, and thank you for listening, and is just be involved and be willing to try new things, be willing to give some time to a builders association. You may start at your local, and you'll meet some great people, you'll learn. And a lot of people are like, well, why do you give all that time to it? Aren't you taking away from your business? No, I'm adding to my business when I do this, because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm making connections, and it's made me a better business owner. It's made me a better person. It's gotten me out of my shell. I'm actually very much an introvert, but it's helped me become more of an extrovert and improve myself in my business. So it's worth every minute of your time to invest in your builders associations.
100% agree with you. So David, what's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to learn about you? So obviously you guys make sure to check out David's podcast. Again, it's Home Building Hero, and it can be found on any podcasting platform, but obviously you're on LinkedIn.
Sure. Yeah. LinkedIn is where I play a lot on. So I'm always posting weekly content on there. So connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just David Belman, Belman. You can follow me there. If you do want to reach out to me more personally, you can always shoot me an email. It's just david@belmanhomes.com. That's BELMAN homes.com. Feel free to reach out to me there. Again, the podcast is on 9 different platforms. You can find me almost anywhere on that. And then LinkedIn is a big one. And feel free to shoot me an email if you got any questions.
And if you're building a home in Wisconsin, David's your man. So
yep, I would love to help you. We'll build you a great house.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate your time, and I'm always impressed with all the things that you do. So involved and so willing to give your time and give your expertise. So thank you for being a friend, for supporting us at Inugo, and I look forward to partying it up in Vegas when I see you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Anya. You're one in a million. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.